All right, everybody, we had an 11 o'clock appointment and we are going to get started. Thanks for being here today. And let's get rolling. Celebrate some wins to start us off today's meeting. 3 wins.
It's gonna be warmer tomorrow.
Amy?
Appointment yesterday for a upcoming listing in May.
Yeah, went to a good, just under 20-acre property in Franklin where I'm from. Good farmhouse up on a hill. So, yeah, let's get it.
I got one.
All right, James.
I went to the eye doctor on Monday. They tested me. I have 20/20 vision,
Oh, nice.
near and far.
Wow.
No more goofy glasses ever.
All right, that's definitely a win. We'll see if it helps your golf game though. TBD.
They didn't work on my swing.
Gotcha. Kevin.
I had 2 accepted offers this week.
All right. Excellent. Congrats.
I'm winning.
Okay, April 1st, upcoming meeting. That's our next meeting, and that's gonna be Val doing AI, and then on the 15th, Merrill Property Group is gonna speak about commercial real estate. So that is the April lineup. Capper Collective Mastermind Group, just because we're not having the traditional business meeting every Wednesday, Tori on the 4th Wednesday of the month is doing Capper Collective. So, Tori will lead that session, next week, March 25th, 11 to noon, right here. Shred Day is coming up. Wendy, you want to talk about that?
It is a client appreciation event. It's all about the touches and not about who shows up. If you're not participating, I will let you out. Our particular team has a 30-day program to touch our clients multiple times about this. This really is for your ideal client. For this is the older person and the business owner to touch everybody. We're different in the shred day in the fact that we offer free electronic shredding. So think power cords, Christmas lights, anything like that, it can be accepted. The beauty of it is it's a drive-through event. You ask your clients to stay in the cart. We'll take everything out. They'll see shredding done on site. They'll see if they can smash their own electronics if they want. If you have aggressions, come work it with me. We can smash electronics. It's so fun. The 2 hours will go by extremely quickly, and it is a high-touch impact to your client. So if you're not sure, seriously, if you're not sure how to promote it, get with myself, get with Cam, we've both done classes on it. Great way to get involved.
And Val has graphics for it, for social media.
Yep, so if you want to recreate the scene from Office Space, now's your chance.
Yeah.
Red Day, May 14th. We are committed to the 3rd phase homeless shelter off Allisonville Road in Noblesville. We are looking for volunteers to help with the planning committee. So if you're interested in being part of the work that goes into the event, before the day of, we do need help just coordinating. So if you're interested, please sign up to be part of the planning committee, especially if you're unable to attend in person on that day, you could contribute your time leading up, and that would be super helpful. So Val's the contact for that, and we are looking for volunteers. But it is May 14th at 3rd phase, a homeless shelter that we have been before. That was basically the spot that we did before we went to Day Springs. Now we're back here, and then we will gather at Beer Brewery in Noblesville after. So that's the plan.
And there's a sign up on that window over there too. QR code or sign up over there.
Is that for volunteers or?
It's volunteers, yes. We don't have the sign up for the actual day yet.
Okay, next week is our happy hour, which is going to be at Birdie's in Westfield from 4 to 6. There's some type of industry event that Roger Lundy is a part of, so we are combining forces and supporting him in that regard. But otherwise, it's just a normal office happy hour, 4 to 6, Birdie's, which is the putt-putt place on 32. All right. Congrats to our 2026 cappers. I see a couple cappers in the room, so let's give them a round of applause. And our lunch sponsor, David Weekly Homes. Now is your time to say a few words.
Yes, wait.
Hey, guys. Thanks for having us. We always love to come visit you guys. I'm Lexi. I'm Amanda. We're both actually in our community, just north of Graham Park in Westfield, Harvest Trail by David Weekly Homes. So I'm working in the courtyard collection model. So I've got some 2-story on slab opportunities with the alley loading garages, probably about 1,700 to 2,400 square feet.
I am working in the signature and executive collections. So I offer slab optional front load on 65-foot home sites in the signature and basements with side load garage on 90-foot home sites in my executive collection. My price point for my signature is usually $650 to $875. And my executive is about $825 to $1.1 million.
I didn't share with you mine. I'm between 4 and 5, but I do have one opportunity that's just under 400 right now, which we're really excited about. So we'd love to see you in our models. Sales are happening quickly this year. Spring market came a little early. I'm sure you guys feel that too. So thanks for having us.
I have a question for you.
Yes.
You said a rental allowed?
In my collection, probably not for you.
No.
We can do a 1-year minimum long-term lease. So it just has to be a completed home. Actually, that's good information to have too. So, thank you
Do
guys.
you have any completed homes that he can buy today? Think of it.
I do.
It's that, you said 1 under 400, is that 3 or 4 big?
That one would not be available for investment opportunity yet. It's about stage 5, so drywall just went up. The one I do have available for investment has the employee pricing reflected on it. It's $419.
How many bedrooms?
3.
I'm gonna close the sale for you.
Let's do it. Let's do it in front of everybody. 3 beds, 2.5 baths. It's got a study in the rear.
The one that's under construction.
3 as well.
Okay.
Under construction is about 1,800 square foot. Doesn't have a study. The one that I'm talking about that's completed has a study. It's a little under 2,100 square feet.
Right.
Do you want to come see it?
We'll talk after.
Thank you, guys.
All right, we have lunch in the kitchen provided by David Weekly, so thank you for that. Steve, you want to talk?
Yes,
Okay.
quick update. Hello, family. We're half, well. In the Q1, we are at 20 enrollments so far to hit our goal, so we're totally trending because we're in the slow part of the year. It gets real busy over the summertime. May starts kicking in. So I'm pretty excited. We'll hit our goal this year. All that to say, if you have anything if I have brochures, we have new brochures, so if you need a brochure, let me know. If you have any questions on, the conversation to have when with your buyer or your seller regarding warranty, let me know. I'm around. I'm easy to find if not. So thank you. Appreciate it.
Thanks, Steve. Mark?
Good morning. Mark Kuchik with Cross Country Mortgage. So first slide, we have our March Madness open house Thursday from 2 to 6. So how many have been to our open house for March Madness? Is it fun or not fun?
Fun.
It's fun. If you have a DraftKings account, we've got 3 individual TVs going. Watch 3 games, no delays. It's nice.
Just the DraftKings.
Well, anyone, How many do you have? All right. Then we also have our Just List, Just Sell, Just Win. This is our new content that we're coming out with. First event will be next Wednesday, the 25th, from 11:45 to 1:30 at Cooper's Hawk. This is where we're gonna help you guys fish in a bigger pond where no realtors are fishing right now. What I mean by that is we're gonna get renters and home buyers who haven't raised their hand saying they want to buy yet because they're afraid of the market, they're afraid of this. We're gonna get them emotionally charged and back it up with logic. We've got a great content that we'll share with you on that. Lastly, I'm excited to partner with Steve Rupp, your one and only Steve Rupp, with our monthly with Mark. It's our monthly webinar that we do from 11 to 11:30. It'll be March 26th. And Steve is, if you don't know Steve, you definitely need to know Steve. If you know Steve, he's a wealth of knowledge. And I honestly, I mean, I've known Steve a long time and he and I did a lot of business together, but even yesterday when we did a pre-meeting, the knowledge he has, how he articulates, he's a wealth of knowledge for you guys. So treat him as a resource. He's gonna share quite a bit, so if you've not been on our monthly with Mark, this would be the one to be on. He's gonna share a lot of good tactical information for you. Thank you.
Thanks, Mark.
We have a new conference room scheduler that will be up on the Keller Williams Indy website under Agent Resources. Over the next couple of days, I'll be making that switch. So it's pretty easy to book the rooms. You'll get calendar or email reminders, and you can also link it to your calendars as well. So
It's up and running, Kristen.
what?
It's up and running.
Yeah, but it's not attached to Keller Williams Indy yet. And we still have, SCADA is the system we're currently using. We haven't phased that out yet, but this will be coming on that website the next couple of days. Any questions about that at all?
All right, I'd like to celebrate us as a brokerage for the 2025 leader for the most leader of transactional giving. So again, Realtor Foundation is an organization that we have a long history of supporting. We have members of our organization that currently serve on the board, have in the past. So it's a great way to give back to our local community with their mission of ending homelessness. And we won the award for last year for the brokerage with the most transactional giving. If you're not signed up for that program, I would really encourage you to talk to Jennifer. It's super easy. You just take out a predetermined amount on any closed transaction. So I want to highlight that. All right, without further ado, I will hand it over to James. Yes, Brian.
Even about that, like if you just do $5, that like increases our percentage of people that don't. So $5, literally you feel it. So if you just do $5, you get pretty close to something.
Yeah, maybe even 50.
Yeah, even 50.
Maybe
Like,
50.
Even $5 is.
It
our
somewhere,
percentage is up.
And when you submit your commission tab, it should be asking you that question. If you want to donate, or you can just tell Jennifer.
All righty, thank you, Doug.
Should be able to share.
Okay. Yep, I think I'm there. Share.
We're not.
We're not there yet. Yeah, I'm gonna need your help.
Oh, I need to stop sharing. It's not even speed.
Gotcha. Okay. So yeah, when they asked me to do the agent financials, I thought and thought and thought, and I was like, man, how am I going to make this fun? And I gave up. I don't think there's any way you can make financials fun. I think other than probably Brian Arnold and myself, no one really enjoys talking about this type of stuff. I don't know why, because we're all here to make money, but no one wants to, talk about it or anything like that. So it's going to be boring, but it's going to be money, and that's what we're all here for. So we're going to have to charge through, talk about money, and see where we go. So I've interviewed a lot of agents over the years, like new agents wanting to get in the business, and I feel like every agent says almost the exact same thing. So when we talk to them and ask them what their goal is, they all say, "Can anybody guess how much everybody says they want to make?" That's it. And when I started in this business 25 years ago, I sat down with the broker where I started and I said the exact same thing. So it's like we all come up with the same number, but what does that number really mean? And that's kind of what I want to talk about. So I use my good friend AI to create this pay stub. So this is not a real pay stub. We use a fictitious John Doe. And what I did here was John Doe makes $100,000 a year. And this shows what the net pay, that 2873 is. That is the net pay if you were on a 26 pay period per year pay cycle. Does that make sense? So you're basically getting paid almost every other week. Well, yeah, you're getting paid every other week. This person would net out 2873.89 per pay period. And that is if they lived in Hamilton County. So it took out Hamilton County taxes, all that good stuff. The reason why I did this, as real estate agents, when we talk about making $100,000, does that mean you want to GCI $100,000? You want to net $100,000, or you want to take $100,000 home? So if you take 2873 times 26, who's quick with math, quicker than me? What do you get? 2873.89 times 26. You get $74,721. So if you grossed $100,000 and I put in two exemptions, that's what you would take home. So as real estate professionals, when we say $100,000, is that what are we expecting to take home $74,000 or are we expecting to take home $100,000? So that's one thing we need to define. And that's another thing I want to talk about because that makes things very dangerous. So let's say, for instance, your GCI number is $100,000. How much are we putting back for taxes? Because John Doe here doesn't have to worry about his taxes because they are getting jacked from him from the beginning. We're different. We have to pay our taxes. So that's one thing that we have to keep in mind. When we get paid, all that money isn't ours. So, yeah. So I encourage everyone when you say, when you set a number, you really need to define what does that number mean? Is it a GCI number? Is it a gross number? Is it a net number? Or is it a take home? Because that's really going to affect your numbers at the end of the day. Anybody have any questions on that? Am I the only one that has had a surprise before when your accountant tells you what you owe?
Yeah, every year. I don't get it.
So I get the same thing every year. It's always a surprise. I know it's going to happen, but every year it's like, man, so sometimes it would be nice to be John Doe so you don't get such a big surprise. But wanted to talk about that because, this kind of shows, you need to save about 25%. So $74,721 is almost exactly 75% of $100,000. So just keep that in mind. If you don't have another account that's marked taxes, you're going to get a surprise. But, all right, just wanted to start off with that. Any questions?
Yeah, just a comment.
Yes, ma'am.
Would you advise not just putting it in their savings, but putting in something like Vanguard that's going to make money?
No.
Okay.
So what I advise is to set up a corporation or an LLC and then talk to your accountant on how much you realistically expect to make based on your history. And based on that number, you have your CPA take out that amount of money through payroll so that you don't ever even touch it. So that way you can be set up just like John Doe.
Like quarterly?
I have no idea when they pay it, but like for me, for instance, I get paid monthly and they take out on there, it'll say gross pay and then net pay. I'm not exactly sure how the government gets that money. I don't know, I don't know how that works, but I just know it doesn't go to me. It's monthly. Yeah. Yeah.
What do you pay your payroll company to do that or your CPA?
It's like 20. I've got 4 people on payroll and it's less than $100 a month.
Yeah.
It's a lot less than your interest is going to be.
Unpaid taxes.
Yeah.
Are you doing your actual full income? You're not doing a lower salary and take distributions?
So I do a lower salary and take distributions and we try to pretty much zero it out. You know what I mean by that? Zero it out.
Yeah, explain.
Pay the difference.
So my gross pay, my net pay it's like $300 every month is what I get paid through payroll. So I pay myself a salary. I think now it's like $60,000 a year. And then from that, everything goes to federal and state taxes except for $300. And then when I get my tax bill at the end of the year, I owe very, very little. Sometimes I get a little bit back if I have a bad year. If I have a good year, then I have to pay a little bit.
Before how do you pull it out of your work?
But you're making more than 60,000.
Right. So
You're paying estimated.
that's what they when they pay it in monthly, that covers it. So as far as yes, making more, so I pay myself a distribution. I pay like $13,000 a month is what I use to live off of.
Before you had a team in your individual agent, did it look different?
Yeah, I was ticked off every year when I had to pay my taxes.
Which is different.
I would start the payroll ASAP. I'd start it yesterday. But I mean, I started payroll a couple years before I started the team. So I was doing it before that, but not as soon as I should have.
For those who haven't started payroll and you're worried about it, if you have a bad month, you just don't pay yourself. Right? But
Right.
there's so many benefits about paying your taxes I pay every 2 weeks. My company sends them in quarterly. I don't have very many surprises. When you do the withdrawals that James is talking about, you're not, there's a certain percentage talk to your CPA, and by the way, John and Ryan are accepting new clients. That was an issue for a while. When you take distribution, you're not paying Social Security and federal on those distributions. So that's how you can take simple numbers, $1,000, pay 500 as payroll, pay 500 as distribution, and save tremendous benefits. But you don't get those surprises, you minimize those surprises at the end of the year. And so then you also have the comfort of, even though your sales could be like this, your lifestyle could be like this. And don't worry about it. When I first started payroll, there's a couple months I'm like, yeah, I just didn't pay myself. But the benefit over everything else was so much greater than that one time.
I agree with everything you just said. Yes, sir, Billy.
The threshold starts like that as a newer agent, then what is kind of that number of the figure?
So the official answer is I don't know, but I think it's based more on your capacity and your ability to budget for yourself. My ability to do that is very low.
I think I've seen a lot of agents set up LLCs because that's what we're told to do from the very beginning. And once you start making some money, it seems like every CPA is going to recommend that you switch to an S corp because there's massive tax savings. The year I did it, it was because my CPA, after already paying like 15 grand in taxes, said, "Hey, I need another 18 grand." I went to Schaff and he said, "Here's the simple mistake they made. Switch to an S corp, you won't have to pay any of that." So I did, and then I switched to Schaff after that. So once you switch to being an S corp and doing distributions, and somebody at some point told me once you make about 30 grand, then you need to start talking those kinds of things.
If you're an LLC that filed as this.
Correct.
And a good CPA will pay for themselves. And the more money you make, the wider that gap is of how much they'll pay for themselves.
There's a good number of us using Shop. Like I said, he just opened up 4 spots for our office to have agents. So if you haven't talked to most of us, go to either John or Ryan. They're just great people.
Any other questions before we move on? All righty. So we are going to look at a budget. And this was the actual budget that my team used for 2024. So I've got a couple things here we're going to go over. This is the budget that we used, and then this is what we call the actual. So yeah, we didn't hit our numbers. But anyway, that happens sometimes. So what we do on my team is every year, around October-ish, we would sit down and do a budget for the next year. And this was the budget that we did for 2024. So we did this in late 2023. And we just go down with all of our expenses. We try to simplify things as much as possible so you have the fewest amount of categories as you can. Salaries, distributions, advertising, education, technology, just going down and, just listing all of our expenses. And this was what we assumed we were going to have to pay in those categories for the year. Total expenses, cost of sales. That's your cost of sales is, obviously what you're paying out if you have a buyer's agent or listing specialist. Net income, bonuses, other income. So when that says other income, what I add in there is my distributions plus my salary. So if you take the net income, that is what the team would make after all salaries are paid. And as the CEO or whatever of James Embry Inc., I get paid a salary. So you add, my salary plus my other income, and that's where we got the total, which we were hoping to net 364 in 2024, and that would have been a 32% margin. Does that make sense? Okay. And so what we use to get those numbers, we use average listing price. We figured at 500,000, average purchase price, and then the number of listings and purchases that we thought we would sell, total transactions, total volume, total GCI. And then we broke it down to how many listing appointments and buyer appointments that we thought we would have to go on to get those appointments. I'm sorry, to get those numbers. And so what we use for that is our historical data. Oh, yeah, absolutely. That better?
Let me see if I can control it over here.
That better?
I'm trying to get this part.
Yeah, so this is a budget, not the PM. But. James is gonna go.
We're gonna try. So this is first. This is plugging in the numbers before they go to the P&L for the next year. So does anybody have any questions about anything on there, how we derived at these numbers? So I can tell you this, so like when we figured our listing appointments and buyer appointments, so from previous years, we tracked all of our appointments and then how many of those appointments that we actually got contracts. So that was how we figured out how many appointments we needed to go on to get 35 listings sold and 47 buyers sold. The 500,000 and the 525, that would have been the average price of our transactions the year before, plus we would have added on whatever the appreciation was that year. It's probably 3% or 5%. So that's how we came at those numbers, and we round off because I like simple things. And I think we figured up what our average commission was, which I think at the time was like 2.75. So that's how we came up with all of our numbers. We used our historical data.
Can you zoom in?
Your advertising, marketing, everything like that, that's based on history, not necessarily MREA.
So MREA always says you should spend 10% on advertising. We have never hit that number. I've struggled. I'm cheap. So we've tried to come up to it. So let me back that up. So we've never officially hit that number, but there are things that I consider advertising that may not officially be. So some of those things are things that you can write off, and some of them are things that you cannot. But they're still a business expense, but they just may not show up on here because you can't write them off. Does that make sense? But we've never, and I can show you another somewhere.
Like do your happy hours, like let's say you were paid for happy hours.
They would show up.
But
yeah.
Would that fall under that category?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Happy hours would. We do farming, that shows up. Signs, website, all that stuff shows up. The things that can't, so I'm a golf member. The IRS doesn't let you write off golf, but I consider that, a business expense. So officially it's not, but I would include that in my 10%.
I think the point is you need to be spending money.
You need to be spending money to make money.
To create more business.
Right.
At an appropriate level.
What we have to do is, has MREA updated the percentages or anything like that? Because that 10% was based on if we did paper mail.
I don't think it ever really updated. They talked about coming out with the MREA 2 and it never came out. We usually come in at like 7-8%, 6-7-8%. And we've even tried to include things that you probably wouldn't include, like, I don't know, like signs, closing gifts, so I include those in advertising. I don't know if they necessarily are. Even like meals, I've got it on here as a separate line item, but in the grand scheme of thing, I include that into marketing. So it's tough. I think I don't want to say this too loud, but I think things are inexpensive in Indiana compared to other places in the world, which makes it tough to hit that 10% on marketing. I don't want any.
What is you're spending dollars? You have a plan to spend at least some type of dollars.
I have a plan to spend dollars, and it's all spent up front.
Well, and I know one thing my account, like years ago, used to do, like if I would buy something like koozies with Lions Link on it, she'd always say, are you getting a return on that, right? So I think the way to think of things is you've got to hold your money accountable. If you're going to spend it, great, try it. However, our client events working, right? What's your return on that? I'm sure they probably are. Then the other exciting part about the way the world is now, there's so many ways we can advertise and do marketing for free, right? Social media. So I think it's a little bit different nowadays.
And even going into, so people ask me about, it's like, where do you come up with all these numbers? So here's an example. This was 2024 marketing cost breakdown. So this is where we spent money. So I do a lot of farming in Chatham Hills. This is all of our expenses that we did in Chatham Hills, $13,510. So that was monthly farming. There's a monthly farming. We sent out magnets at the end of the year for refrigerators with the Colt schedule and all that stuff. There's a magazine that goes out through Into Publishing. It goes out monthly. So these are all the things we did, and they totaled $13,510.
Holding your money accountable for those who aren't familiar with your story. How much sales did you do to Chatham?
I don't
Roughly.
usually about 8 sales a year, and they average about 1 million to 1.5 million, somewhere in that range. So it's definitely we like the first year or two, I really kept track of the numbers, and then knowing that it was working well, I haven't really followed it as closely as I did. So like 13 grand and make yeah, yeah, yeah. Average about 2.25%. So yeah, it worked. But that's what we did there. And then lead gen. So we had Commissions Inc., which was a website that we used. We don't have it anymore, but here was what the cost was for that. And Mojo Dialer, that was another $13,000. When we compared what we made with that 13,000 versus Chatham Hills, we got rid of this because it didn't even come close. Client connections. So these were our happy hours and our events. You'll see in here a couple of like negative numbers for like the Indians game sponsorship. So we just put a negative on there whenever we got a sponsorship from someone for one of our events. But so those totaled 14,000, and we invite all of our clients to those things. And then listings. So this was like our express docs. So we send out postcards for just listed cards for a lot of our listings based on where they are. Where's the total there? Can't find it. It's somewhere. There we go. And there's all of our sign installs. Wow, there's a lot of stuff there in there. So that totaled another $9,000. So we used those numbers and it went back to that first spreadsheet where we have our advertising. So it's all these numbers added in together, and then that's where we get that number. Absolutely not.
Yeah.
No, no, that's not my strength.
So you have a team member doing this.
Yes. But if you're good with spreadsheets, it wouldn't be that hard because they can all pull from each other, but that's not
Just
something.
looks like it's a Google Drive. I mean,
It is a Google Drive. Yeah. So that's that. Any questions there? Please? I'm just that good that I explained everything that well. Cam.
So the MREA says to strive for 30% cost of sales, 30% expenses, 40% profit. I personally in our business have struggled to hit that 40% profit. I think you had said you were around 32% was the budget, or is that the actual?
The budget was 34.97.
Okay. What are your thoughts on just that mindset, that model? Because especially as a team, like cost of sales typically are higher.
I think that the bigger your team gets, the higher your GCI, the lower your percentage is going to go. I think your percentages, it keeps going down to a point. Well, let me rephrase. It'll keep going up, and then you make a change, and there'll be a big drop, and then you can start going up again, and then there'll be a big drop. And it's like, so my team right now, we have 2 admins and then 4 agents. And our admin staff can handle a lot more than what we're throwing at them right now. So, but their costs, those are, there's bonuses that they get, but for the most part, a large majority of their pay is a fixed cost, the salary. So, and we're going to do somewhere between 80 and 110 transactions. I am confident that we could do 200 transactions with the same staff. So that would keep my fixed costs very close to where they're at. The bonuses would go up a little bit, but the fixed costs would stay the same and the income would skyrocket. And then we would get to a point where, and I don't know if it's 200 transactions, 180, 170. There's going to be a point where we'd have to add a third person. So you'd have a big drop and then you would start slowly building back up.
Last time I talked to Scott too, so he's a full coach. The numbers, he said very, very few teams hit the 40, it's more for what you're doing, like the 30 to 35. That's why all been asking for the new counts and charts. So if you're between 30, 35, you're rocking it, Dave.
We're usually like between around 32%, but everybody always wants more profit in their business, a profitable business, but I mean, conversations from around the country, it seems like hitting a 40% margin as everything else is expensive also. It's getting harder and harder.
So I can tell, so this was, our budget was, we'll say 35%. Then I go over to the actual. So this is after we plugged in all the numbers and we plug them in as it goes. We hit 52. Now,
52% profit.
yes, but that's not truly accurate. And I'll tell you why. A couple of things on here. So one, we've got the bonuses number is not in here. That should have been in here. The main reason is that I'm still highly in production. So we didn't really fill this out properly because it should have like the cost of sales at 163. It should have taken out whatever I get paid as a listing specialist. That makes sense? So yeah, because if you're truly running there should be two different columns, like the gross or the net pay and the pay as a listing specialist. Mark.
So James, over the last few years, I've been feeling the average agent seeing their BAC drop a little bit since last year when the new law came into place. Have you seen it start to increase, which would affect your ability?
I think if you look at the office numbers, our BACs have went up. The listing agent commission has went down a little bit. Yeah, the BACs have went up, not much, but they've went up a little bit. Yeah. And the BAC is an interesting thing too, because it's drastically different throughout different price ranges. So one place where we really screwed up, our price range jumped pretty suddenly, and we were behind the eight ball on what our average commission would be because we were always figuring on that 275, which was our historical number. But our historical number went way down when we jumped into the $1 million plus price range. So it was a good problem to have, but it threw numbers way off. All right. So where else were we gonna go here? Any more questions?
You're doing great.
Do you use
This is
QuickBooks?
exciting.
Yeah.
Do you use QuickBooks or anything or just?
I do use QuickBooks. So once again, QuickBooks, I think we've talked about it a couple times before. QuickBooks is what I found. I used to use a spreadsheet for keeping track of like actual expenses on a monthly basis. QuickBooks it's like what, 20, I don't know. It's not very much. $30 a month, and you can tie it directly to your account. And it just pulls all your expenses onto one nice place. It categorizes them for you. It basically does a P&L for you so you don't have to do it yourself. Usually at the end of the month, I'll do a reconciliation, and there'll be anywhere between 2 and 10 accounts that I have to reconcile and tell it what they are. And then you just, click a button and it gives you your P&L.
So it's tied to your bank account too, so it's seeing your deposits, withdrawals and everything.
Yep. I personally I have one bank account that I use for all James Embry Inc., which is a real estate team. All James Embry Inc. expenses and income come through one account. So everything in there is a legitimate business account, and everything that goes out of there, or everything that goes out is a legitimate business account, and everything that comes in is revenue for the team. All righty.
Back pretty soon and teach to, especially the newer agents, you have to try to have a profit first method.
Went through that.
Please, put me on the spot.
Dust it off.
There it was. Yeah, I'm sorry, I pulled up the 2025. So this was the 2024 actual. We had budgeted, thought we were gonna do, what was it? 1.1, 1.1 GCI. The actual was 762. Talk about hitting your marks, missing your marks. Yeah. So we did 30 million. We had budgeted to do 42. So I mean, we missed our marks pretty far in 2024. But it was still the net wasn't that bad because that was when I jumped back in to do a lot more than I thought I was going to do. But nonetheless, we missed our mark pretty bad. Just thought I'd share that.
You still had a good year though.
I mean, yeah,
You got to buy a car.
I did.
At least they're setting goals of working on it, right? I mean, I think that's the key for all of us. Do we have a plan in place? Are we tracking right now? You know, first quarter's almost over. It's like, oh my goodness. You know?
We've always set goals. Usually miss them, but always set them. So here, this is one that I thought was pretty interesting. So this is a chart. I like charts too. I'm sure most people don't. So we used to always set budgets based on or goals set on historical data, but we divided it out by 12. So say for instance we wanted to do 12 million, our goal would have been a million a month. And then we never hit that. We'd always get real excited like midway through the year because we were ahead of our goal. And then later in the year, business always fell off. So what we did here, all these different color graphs or different colored lines represent different years. And so we just took out our volume each month over a 4-year period of time to figure out what months we did more in and what months we did less. And then when we set our monthly goals, we based it on the average of each of those years. Does that make sense? And once we did that, we saw, well, hey, if we're going to try to do 12 million, we only need to do like 600,000 in January, but we need to do like 2 million in June. So we followed our trends. We didn't follow the market's trends. We followed our trends. And they're going to be pretty close to what the market is, but this was our specific data over the 4 previous years to when we did this. And then we went even further and kind of did buyers and sellers and figured out how many transactions we did each month. So I mean, there was a lot of legwork involved in doing our budgeting. Thank God I had help doing it, but there was a lot that we did to try to get to where we've gotten. And like I should, we still very rarely hit our numbers, but they're predictable. And we can predict it's usually, if we're behind number of listing appointments or buyer appointments, or if we're behind transactions, we know we've got to go out and make some calls and set up X number of appointments. Because if I go on 3 listing appointments, I'm going to get like 2.2 of them. So if I need 4 listings, I got to go on 6 appointments, the math. But we had historical data so we could figure all that out, and it made it a lot easier to at least try to hit our numbers.
Where would you start if you're starting something like this?
The first thing I would do, is track appointments that you go on. And then after you do that, then track of those appointments, how many of them you get. So what's funny, when I first was asked, it's like, what percentage of your listings do you go on and you get the appointment? I said, I get about 90% of those listings. And then I was challenged. It's like, where's your data? And I was like, I don't have data. I know I get 90% of my listings. So for the next like 6 months, I actually tracked it, and boy, was I wrong. I was at like 60%. So, which was nowhere near as, most of us think that we're better than we are. And I thought I was better than I was. But once I knew those numbers, then it's like, okay, how many appointments do you have to go on? But yeah, that's where I would start. Start by tracking your listing appointments or your buyer appointments. And be honest with yourself, because your answers are only going to be as honest as you are. And even going further back, you might want to define what an appointment is. So having coffee with someone talking about real estate, I don't call that an appointment. A listing appointment is going in the house, looking over the property, having paperwork ready to go. So that's what I call an appointment. Any other questions? Is there anything in particular somebody would like to discuss? Because I'm more than happy to discuss any aspect of my team financials. Does anybody keep financials? Who keeps the P&L? Profit and yeah. Does everybody know what a P&L is? Profit and loss statement. So if I can ask the people that don't keep a P&L, why do you not keep a P&L? Love it. Good deal. What are you gonna do? Spreadsheet, QuickBooks? Got it. Okay.
Okay, let's put you on the spot, because I've been coaching. What is your current method that you told us yesterday? Because you're doing what most people in here are doing. So I am taking. Throwing everything in there, and eventually I'll look at it, but just a habit and spot.
So taking pictures of receipts, is that what you said?
Like email receipt all the way to one folder.
Okay.
That's better than most.
Do you have a business card or is that your personal card?
So we're working on that, aren't we?
When I first started, I did not have an LLC or S corp. I was just hustling, trying to make money. I had one checking account that I handled all my business transactions, all my personal transactions, and I took a manila folder and just threw receipts in there. And then at the end of the year, I put all those receipts on a spreadsheet, and that was my P&L.
That's what you're doing, but old school.
But I had no idea how profitable my business was or wasn't. I just knew if there was or was not money in the account to make the house payment every month. I mean, that was. Yes, sir.
I think too, the transition, when you start tracking your numbers, especially when it comes to finances, one of the things I've loved about KW is I went from this mindset of I just need to sell another house, I just need to make more money, to no, I just need to be smarter with everything, with how many appointments we're going on, with how many sales we have to want to make that kind of money, with what our expenses need to be, what we need to cut the fat on. Like you just move into a much different mindset because we've all been that victim of that's just one more commission check and I can get XYZ. I can pay the mortgage, I can go on the vacation, I can do whatever. But the reality is like when you put all these things together, which takes time, like James is saying, like he didn't have any of this stuff in the beginning. I sure as heck didn't either. I didn't know what a P&L was. I had to Google it because people kept talking about a P&L. I didn't know what profit first was until Heather and I in my Ignite class did a mastermind and read the book with Wendy. And over 7 years, all of this stuff has been slowly put together. So now I have a profit and loss and I have a CPA and I have all these people that help keep me accountable. And I just plug in some numbers and reconcile QuickBooks every month. And it makes me feel like I know what I'm doing, but 90% of the time I still don't know what the heck I'm doing. But there's systems and things that I can always go back and look and keep track of things. So it moves your mindset, which is what I've really enjoyed about tracking this stuff. I went from like not wanting to track or really care about any of this stuff to now it's like if I get a few days past the beginning of the month and I haven't updated my P&L, I'm itching to know how things look.
So running it like a business instead of a sale, like each sale.
Correct.
You are running a business.
Yeah.
And I think what the problem is, and this is just the brutal honesty of it, I think most salespeople, myself included, are a little on the arrogant side. And we always see, we're a little bit short, when we got to pay our taxes or this and that. And we just think that we can outsell our stupidity. It's like,
You went through profit share first, and Heather teaches a fantastic class on this, whether you're agent day one or 10 years. Talk a little bit about profit first, why they should attend this class. What is that mindset? What is that difference?
So a brief overview, it's about setting up accounts so that when a commission check comes in, you're immediately dividing it out to taxes, OpEx, which would be your operation expenses, payroll. So whether it's you by yourself or you have a team, an account that you're paying payroll out of, profit, because we all want profit. And I get a little excited and do it as soon as a commission check hits my account. The book will tell you, you just need to do it twice a month. That's what Heather teaches on too, is doing it twice a month. But it's immediately getting the money out of one account and into the allocated accounts. Because if you have $100,000 sitting in a checking account, you feel good. You're out here spending money like crazy, buying all this stuff. But if you know you have 25,000 sitting in a tax account, 25,000 in OpEx, 25, it feels different, and you make decisions a little bit different. So I have never, fortunately, since I started Profit First when I was a baby agent, had a oh crap moment on taxes, because I've always had the
You
money.
did, but you switched to shop.
I had an oh crap moment because I had already paid all the money that was in that account. I'm like, where is the other money? Well, all I had to do was meet with a different CPA that strategized differently. Unfortunately, didn't have to pay an extra 18 grand, but I've never had an oh crap moment because that money's always there. And now I pay taxes monthly. It's a flat fee. And then every quarter I meet with Shop and we go over our numbers, and then we're able to adjust accordingly. Like, hey, you're actually doing a lot better. We need to increase that amount so that we don't have, okay, you paid 20 grand in taxes and I still need another 12 for it.
Well, and the other thing I like about the profit share is you put a percentage into a play account. And you can only use that money to play. You can't bring it back into business, you can only use it to play. And it forces us to slow down and enjoy our successes. So how many trips did you take? How many days did you travel last year?
73.
Okay.
Wow.
Play account.
Yeah, I have an account called Adventure. And so when people ask, like, how do you pay for this? 5% of every commission check goes into this Adventure account. And that's how I book all of our stuff, and it's paid for ahead of time.
So when you're there on vacation, you're truly there on vacation. You're not worried it's already paid for.
Yeah.
And when you come back, it's really easy to work really, really hard and spend 1.3 million on a Monday.
Nice.
Keep watching. 1.3 on a Monday, you went on vacation. Yeah, you work hard, you play hard.
Yeah.
So really think about it. There's a whole book about it. Heather teaches a great class, but it's about rewarding yourself for all this hard work.
Yeah, I think at the end of the day, there's a lot of different systems you can use. When I think of Profit First, that's very similar to Dave Ramsey electronically. But there's a lot of different systems you can use. You just have to find the right one that works for you. Like personally, I don't have any financial discipline, so I have to use, separate accounts, and it's amazing if there's money in the account it's not accounted for. I don't know where it goes, but it's gone. Golfing, cars, I don't know, but it goes. And I had to find a way to protect myself from my stupidity. But yeah, so this is what I've done, and it's worked for me. But yeah, yeah. What else we got?
I'd like to know what some of your oh crap moments have been and what you learned from them.
So mostly just tax time. It's like, hey, this is what you owe. So I'm pretty hard headed. So it usually takes a couple of times before I learn to do something different because I think I can out earn my stupidity. But I mean, I've had some hefty, $20,000, $30,000. And like I said, back when I started, when I just had the single account, I wasn't paying quarterly taxes. I wasn't doing anything. I just always thought, well, hey, if you have a real good March or April, then you can make enough to pay that tax bill for the previous year. Yeah. And usually, then you're filing extensions and paying extra and all that stuff. But I mean, I had several of those oh crap moments. And there's some, accountants will tell you, well, you can, spend money on this or invest in that to save on taxes. And that can work if you have the cash and it's an investment that's going to make money. But, there's been times when I did things, spent money elsewhere to try to save money on taxes, but you're still spending it somewhere. So it doesn't really help your cash flow any. Or you're taking out a loan to do it, which is just combining stupid things with stupid things. So did that answer the? Yep. Yes, Cam.
So I have a question. Being 1099, there is nobody that's secretly putting money away in 401ks and all that stuff for us. As far as investing goes, obviously you do flips and stuff, but is there anything else you would recommend?
Yeah. So I haven't done any flips for over a year, and I flips can be called investing. After doing them for several years, I don't think it's really investing. It's another job. So just keep that in mind. It's a good way to make money, but it is another job. As far as investing goes, I've done several real estate syndications. Do you guys know what a syndication is?
No.
So you see like a lot of these big office buildings, apartment buildings, retail centers, well, not malls, because Simon's got more money than God and they do those. But a lot of these projects that are medium size, like, I don't know, maybe 2 million to, maybe $100 million, they're all financed through syndications. And so you'll have a sponsor that'll come up with the concept and the idea, and they'll go secure financing from a lender to do maybe 70% or 80% of the financing. And then they syndicate to come up with the other 20 to 30%. And by syndicating, what they do is they get a collaboration of investors. Each of them puts in anywhere from 50,000 to whatever they want to put in. And then you own a certain percentage of that deal. And it took me a long time to learn about them, but most of these deals in that size range that you see are done through syndications. So Old Town Investments does a lot of them. They just built one in Westfield that's complete or nearly complete. They're getting ready to start a new one. There's a BAM Capital. They do a lot of them. There was a guy, Chad Scheidler, that was a sponsor last week at our breakfast. He owns a company called, what's it called?
Focus Capital.
Yeah, Focus Capital. They do a lot of them. So those have been pretty good investments, especially as a real estate professional. You get to depreciate a larger percentage of the depreciable asset. But those typically have a return anywhere from like 12 to 20%.
What are you getting? You're putting your money in when they're starting the project. What are you getting your money out?
So it depends on what type of project it is. So if it's new construction, you're not getting any money back until they start renting it out. So you won't get any money back for a couple of years. And then once they start renting it out, you usually get paid quarterly. It's an ongoing thing until they either refinance it or sell it. And then once that happens, once that big windfall happens, then you get back your percentage of the profit when they either refinance or sell.
We have a couple minutes left.
So I think those are great investments because you typically have to be an accredited investor, which I just Google that, accredited investor, and it'll tell you exactly what that means. Those are great because you get to invest in real estate. You get to take all of the benefits of depreciation and all the other real estate benefits, but you don't have to do anything. You literally write a check and then you receive money. So there's zero
Or
involved.
you could lose money.
There's always risk. You could always risk, but you literally don't have any obligations as far as no responsibilities whatsoever. I think that as real estate agents, everyone in this room should own rental properties. I think, investment real estate is one of the best investments out there. And, you can leverage it as an agent, you can take your commission off, and the return gets so awesome when you figure all that stuff in, the leverage, and then, you don't have to pay yourself a commission when you buy it or when you sell it. and it amazes me that we have all these clients out there that are buying all these investment properties, and several of us have sold properties to or for an investor. They're making a crap ton of money on it. Imagine if they didn't have our fee. So that's the opportunity that we have, is we can do the same thing they're doing without paying ourselves. And that just makes your return exponentially more. So if you don't own any investment real estate, shame on you. We need to have a good long talk. I think those are the two opportunities for investments. Those are the two that I like the most, and I think that we should all have some of both of those. Who in here has rental properties? You know, I agree. But you won't like my prices. So let me ask this real quick. I know we're out of time. For those of you that don't have investment properties, I'm not going to pick on anybody specifically, but those of you that don't, does anyone want to share why? You say scared? What'd you say?
My P&L the last year is negative.
Okay, I get it.
The reason why I don't.
Okay.
But I do plan on investing in rental properties, probably like you're saying. That's what.
Okay.
I sold my rentals last year. Very happy to be liquid.
Are you going to reinvest it in more rentals, or are you sitting on the sideline?
I'm in the stock market. Taking it all the way to the bottom.
Okay. There's a book I read, and it's called, I forget, I think it's called Just Keep Buying. Have you read it? Have you read it, Kevin?
No.
It's a great book. So kind of the premise of it is pick an asset class that you understand and that you like, and just keep buying stuff. Because if you look historically, whether it's the stock market or real estate, and they're the same. I mean, they might follow a different trend line, but it's the same concept. But they all have went up over time. There's going to be dips here and there, but if you just keep buying, eventually you'll end up with stuff. Got to ride it out, Dana.
I was gonna say, if anybody wants to watch a recording, we record every single week, and it's always in the weekly email, and it's always in the YouTube page. So a lot of times people ask me where the recordings are. It's at the bottom of that Sunday email or on Keller Williams or YouTube page.
Would anyone? So we're out of time. Would anyone like a continuation of this? I didn't pull my P&L up. Would anyone like a continuation, like maybe next month or something, and I can pull the P&L up?
This was a lot more exciting than you let on. Great job with it.
Okay.
You can even do virtual. Yeah.
Okay, well, we'll do it again, and I'll pull the P&L up. I'll clean it up a little bit. It needs to be reconciled. It needs to be reconciled. We won't add anything.
The books.
Yeah, okay, I can do that. QuickBooks has made, it's the best $30 a month you could ever spend. Because literally at the end of the year, when I go to my accountant, I just click print and it shows income, expenses.
Yeah, well, joint shop accounting, you're just gonna share with Ryan or John, and they pull anything that they don't have to do anything.
Even better. All righty.
Thank you, Jane.
Thanks, James.
You're welcome. I hope that was useful.
Thanks for joining, guys. I think the FDA letters got everybody down.
What's that?
Everybody.